Hi folks, it's Clare from Arts Care. Today I'm going to talk about Alexander Calder. He was a very famous sculptor, born in 1898 in America. He was probably best known for creating these mobile kinetic sculptures. You would probably see lots of variations, watered down versions of these types of sculptures over the years, even down to like mobiles above babies' cots and things like that. But really, he was the one who created this whole idea of the kinetic mobile abstract sculpture. He he was a very playful man. He was very childlike and with his very inquisitive. At the start, he was born to artistic parents. His mother was a painter. His father was a monumental sculptor, as was his grandfather, who I think came originally from Scotland. And at first, he didn't really want to go and study art, so he studied mechanical engineering for a while, and then quickly realized that wasn't for him. And in the 1920s, then between New York and Paris, he really took flight with his whole artistic career. Um, he loved the circus, he loved the playfulness and the movement of the circus, and he captured it not only in line drawings, but then he created drawings using wires. This is a three-dimensional drawing reflecting the circus and the trapeze acts. And then on the right here, he actually created his own miniature circus that all his famous artistic friends would have come to watch in his apartments and things like that in Paris. So he had like little mechanical trapeze artists moving around and things jumping and all kinds of stuff, you know. And through this, he really developed through this wire line drawn. So it's like three-dimensional drawing even then, and you can see that his forms are starting to become quite abstract as well, with the modernist movement at the time. And this is just a picture of him later in life, looking at some of his portraits. And these are, you know, when you see these in a gallery, they're usually hung up and lights shining on them, and they reflect these beautiful big shadows of the line drawings behind them. So if you ever get an opportunity to get to see an exhibition of his, or even look him up online, you'll see lots and lots of works that he's created. He was very influenced by another famous artist of that period called Mondrian. He was very influenced by the bold geometric prints or paintings and the colour schemes that Mondrian would have used in the 1930s. And they were also very interested in astronomy and how the solar system worked, how the atmosphere and the universe worked. So this brought him forward to start to think to create these mobile kinetic sculptures. So at first he had them as mechanical sculptures, and then he designed them in a way that just the atmosphere in the space would move them ever so slightly or gently in a kinetic fashion. These are some pictures now of some of his more well-known works. And he tended to do most of the colours either in black or red. In the modernist style, I've got that upside down. And this one here, this is suspended from a ceiling area. It's probably in an art gallery somewhere, but you can sort of see the general scale of that. It's quite big, and they move ever so gently. He also went on to create massive, big, monumental sculptures in big cities across the world, and yeah, his work is loved all over the world. I've got another little example of piece there where he has suspended piece and then a grounded piece, a situated piece, and then I have a little example of these ones here that are a bit of a combination of the two. So it's kind of a grounded sculpture that then meets a moving kinetic sculpture. So he was working all the time, investigating, playing, and this is a picture of him in playing with some of his ideas. And this is just like a basic breakdown of the kind of mathematics that create this kind of kinetic mobile. Now, I don't want to put you off with too much mathematics, but it's a very simple concept. Once you get your head around it, you start from the bottom with a horizontal rod, and then you have your pieces of whatever it may be. In his case, it would have been aluminium, but we're going to use cardboard, foam stickers, whatever you can find. And I'm just gonna, the reason I've got this all quite darkly lit is that I have some examples here that I'm gonna show that I've done using this technique. Okay, now the first technique that I've used was to buy some mobile rods that you can buy and have sent to you. They're only about $2.50, you can get those online. Now this is probably the simplest way to do it, and this is using very simple idea of you have to work from the bottom up, and you start with this bottom rod, and you have to get that sort of counterbalance almost equally, and then as you attach and move up, this piece of string that attaches to the next horizontal rod will depend whether it goes that way or that way, and you can adjust that. So if I put it down too much like that, it's going to go all over the place, but if I adjust it ever so slightly, it should stay a little straighter. Not sure if you can see that well. And I've just used foam stickers and sandwich them in between one another, you know. So like on this one here, I have it yellow on one side and orange on the other. So that's one way of doing it. But if you can't get your hands on any wire rods, another way of doing it is, if I just move this further up, it's using exactly the same principle, but I've used kebab skewers, embroidery thread, and some coloured paper that I've sandwiched together using Pritt stick. But the principle is the same. Now what I would advise that at the end of each rod here, before you start your project, tie a little knot around the very end of each rod and glue it so it's held in place. And then once you start to assemble your sculpture, start at the bottom. Always remember to start at the bottom. Get your balance correct on this bottom one. This bottom one has to be kind of equally balanced, and then you start to build up, and then you just adjust. You tie a knot around the middle bit, and then you can adjust it up and down. As long as the very end one's glued and it doesn't move, you can then adjust this up and down, and you will gauge for yourself if you've got the balance right. Otherwise it will go way up here or way down there. Okay, and then another way to do this, if I just pull my camera up a bit. So I've created these two pieces here. Now this is just cardboard, and this is coloured, kind of thick coloured paper card. And I've used an even simpler technique to do this, and that's by cutting out sheets of cardboard in a nice shape, and I've sort of graduated the shape where I've started. This is my bottom. I'm building up the layers, and I've simply used staplers opened up. Now a really easy way to find your balance with these is a quick little trick. If you fold a piece of cardboard in half like that, put a drawing pin through there and pierce it through here, and then add another drawing pin through there and sellotape those two together so you have a little join like that. You can actually measure your balance if something's going to go. So if I hold that there, that's going to flop down, but if I hold it up there, you can see that's starting to balance correctly. And so what you do is you simply get the balance on this one, and I have this already done, and then you can very easily slip that in. As you can see, even just by holding it, that's fine. And you have to make sure also that you've got enough space in between your shapes that they're not going to knock into each other. And that's also important to get the counterbalances right, so that they're not, otherwise they will go like that. And then you just start to build up. So if I want to add this bit to the next bit, I'll put this in, hold it. Oh no, that's a bit too sloppy that way. And put it that way. You can start to get the balance right, and then you connect it to the next one. Now I already had these created, so, but it's just to very quickly show you But the beauty of these and working with the cardboard is if you kind of get it wrong, it doesn't really matter because they're only little pinpricks with the holes, so you can play around with them. If I can get that in the camera there, but you can start to see that one, but it would be very similar to this one up here. And you can see, and the reason I've shot this at night, so that you can see the lovely shadows and our little dancing sculptures here that are just moving around in kinetic fashion. And if I was to use my special blow machine, you can see that you get this lovely oscillating sculpture pieces. So I'll not keep you too much longer because I know we want to keep these videos short, but I hope that gives you a quick overview of Alexander Calder and his amazing brain and how he developed this whole idea of these sculptures. Okay, and if you need any more information on him, obviously you can Google him or any internet search on him and you'll find out lots of information for him. Okay, so I hope that was useful and that you can have a wee bit of fun and experiment with that. Okay, thank you.